What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy.
What's going on, y'all? It's NC in the place to be. Chilling, Mr. A&D. Back to give you guys a Raw review. I had to. I don't usually do Raw reviews until I have put my Raw reviews on the podcast, Nerdgasm Talk podcast. So every week that if it's interesting Raw, I review them that way. I don't been putting them on the channel if you guys have been recognizing. But it was the Raw after Mania. It was a special Raw. So I was like, well, instead of me waiting and putting this up on Sunday, let's see if it's a decent enough show. We can talk about it now. And boy, was it a decent show! I was like, man, that is a make up for what you gave us this weekend at WrestleMania, making me stay up and watch. It wasn't too much to stay up, but doing WrestleMania and then dealing with these live streams. No, I ain't professional. I gotta get better with this shit, man. Embarrassing me out there with these live streams, stuff like that. But you know what? We coming back strong. I was just like, the Raw after Mania, we gonna sit here and watch it, and let's see, because usually this is supposed to be the big show after WrestleMania every single year, and for a couple of years now, it ain't been feeling like that, but today, we got some of that magic back. Well, I should say yesterday, we got some of that magic back. So we got to talk about what happened on Raw after Mania, because it was a jam-packed show, and they actually used the whole 3 hours in this than they usually do, because usually it'd be like 2.5 hours Raw. They used the whole 3 hours, and I was like, you know what? Now, that was a 3-hour Raw I can get with. John Cena comes out with the same kind of entrance he had at WrestleMania 41 when the darkened lights, all you see is the white John Cena name up there in like a black background. That's all it is out there. And he's like, no, we're going to announce me the right way and introduce him as the greatest of all time, to go to 17-time champion John Cena. And John Cena's letting everybody know like this: listen, I'm the last world champion. The last world champion is going to leave with me, opposed to all this belt that was held by so many, by Stone Cold, The Rock, and Shawn Michaels, and the Undertaker. He runs down the list, right? And then he says, listen, it stops with me. And the only number I care about is 36. What is 36, you may say? 36 is the number of dates that I had left. And so started this year, and he starts running down all the places he did. He did the Royal Rumble. He did the Elimination Chamber. He did both nights of WrestleMania. He did the European tour. So it's like that. We're down to like 27, I think it is. And then that's the last time y'all need to see, because after that, I'm gone. I'm out of here, right? And then so as he's saying that, he said, but you know what? Y'all can do me a favor. All y'all can take out your phones right now. Y'all can take a little picture at the last real champion. So like it was almost borderline Chris Jericho. Take it in, man. Borderline. But then as he's in there sneaking up from the back, it's Randy Orton, and Randy Orton hits him with an RKO, and that is going to set up our main event for Backlash, because how could you not do that? Okay? And with all the stuff that happened in Ruthless Aggression, it's the first time we ever seen heel John Cena and babyface Randy Orton. Automatically, I was just like, all right, now we flipped the strip. Now, because it was like, it's Cena's retirement year. There's a couple rivalries and matches you have to do before his time is up. No pun intended. You have to do Randy. You have to do CM Punk. So Randy, Backlash takes place in St. Louis, Missouri. That's Randy's hometown. Of course, Cena versus Randy Orton, gotta have it for Backlash. Then Money in the Bank, you got to do Cena and Punk. And if y'all going to keep on doing this rivalry between I don't know how long the rivalry is going to be, but Cena and Punk, it's going to have to be at Money in the Bank or even SummerSlam. It has to, because they both have history of both of those shows. It got to be one of those shows. He got to do, after Punk's program, he got to do CM Punk before he calls it a quits. But that was a good opening segment, and I'm glad to see Randy Orton sit there with RKO and going after that championship. Next up, we had a Women's World Tag Team Championship match, which I didn't even know the championships was on the line until the match was over. To be honest with you, I was like, damn, this match, one, is getting some time, and two, it's pretty damn good. And I'm like, but damn, all this is that's for, like, you know what, hey, I know it was for a rematch, but the match was pretty damn good, and Lyra gets distracted Not get distracted. She gets hold up. She tosses Raquel outside the ring, but then Liv hits the Oblivion on Lyra out of nowhere, and then she pins her. And then Liv Morgan, I believe they said, is a 4-time tag team champion, like a 4-time women's tag team champion. Well, she got the belt on her, so I'm glad she got the belt back on her. But that was like, well, damn, what? That was a waste, right? So Becky Lynch goes and helps Lyra Curry in the ring, and then she turns heel on her right after she came back. She turned heel, which I think is actually the right move. I like Becky Lynch as a heel, so having her turn heel on Lyra Curry, and first of all, it gives Lyra something to do because she just been having match like. It's been the freak of the week. Every single week, it's like whoever's challenging for like Ivy now, Selena Vega. Don't nobody care about them. So we got Becky Lynch here, somebody who's credible, who is most likely going to probably take that championship off Lyra Valkyria and then put her over probably at SummerSlam. So we got ourselves a feud going into SummerSlam or going into Money in the Bank, whatever the case may be. And liking that Becky, and first of all, shout out to Lyra Valkyria and Liv Morgan for actually making the manhandle slam look decent, because I hate when Becky Lynch does it, but the way they sell it, it makes it look good. So that was a great way. I can't wait to actually for them to sink their teeth into this rivalry and give Lyra something to do. New Day come out to celebrate their World Tag Team Championship win for Mania, and I'll tell you right now, it was like, well, maybe they get their heat back. Maybe they did this on this show. Put that match at WrestleMania instead of the TLC match, which is still baffling to me, for the New Day to get their heat back. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. They didn't. They really came out to nothing. It was like barely no. It was a little bit of booze. And for this to be the Raw after WrestleMania crowd, which like they actually sung Randy Orton's song, so it ain't like they was dead tonight. That it's just they were coming to New Day. It was just, it ain't there no more. They dropped the ball with that. They really dropped the ball with that. And honestly, I think it's going to be very hard. They got to do something drastic to really get them their heat back, but nobody really cared. And then even when Xavier Woods was putting this on, like, you know, you get time for y'all to get on your hands and knees and sit there and say thank God for the New Day. And it's like it's not there yet. It's not getting. I mean, they dropped the ball with it. It was there. They was getting nuclear heat. Okay, they were getting nuclear heat, and now they ain't getting anything. Well, Alpha Academy comes out with Maxine Dupree and saying that they're talking about they were the greatest tag team champions or the greatest tag team of all time. Slow your roll right there, sister. Why? And as soon as Alpha Academy came out and they was like, we're going to challenge them to a match, the New Day for a match, I was like, it has to be an angle. Because why? I mean, we could be asking that question a lot for this weekend, but why? Well, then, of course, we get Rusev is back. Now, once again, I'm not even going to hold y'all. I was excited to see Rusev. I really was excited to see Rusev. My issue was, I missed that Rusev Ujia, Rusev Machka, don't. Like, I missed those songs. Death Rebel sucks, okay? And then it was like there was nothing to identify him with the song. It didn't feel like Rusev. I just thought they was gonna give him his old song back, but they gave him this new song, and it was like if I had closed my eyes and it came, I was like, it's another generic ass song. But seeing Rusev, that's what I'm happy about. But now New Day booked it. They said, y'all, we ain't got nothing to do with Rusev, man. We ain't got no problem with you. And then when Rusev come out there and attack Alpha Academy and sit there and put the accolade on Otis. Now, once again, I do know Rusev been going for, what was it, 5-6 years right now? So there's a lot of people in the crowd that when Rusev was doing all his Rusev-is shit, like when he's like, you know, Rusev crush and all stuff like that, like I remember all that stuff. There's some people in the audience that just don't remember that part of Rusev, you know? And I'm like, okay, but I'm happy Rusev came back. The crowd was happy, but I think he could have got a little bit bigger reaction because I also think it was the placement. Why in this segment? I guess they had to put him somewhere, but just why in this segment of all segments? Backstage, we have the Judgment celebrate Dom, and Liv got her championships back, and then Finn walks in. And then Liv Morgan comes in and says, listen, hey, we all agreed that as long as the championship comes back into the Judgment Day, you know. And then Finn said, well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So they all try to celebrate it, and then as celebrate, you can see Finn looking at the Intercontinental Championship. So he's coming after that championship. Then they also mentioned, I just heard this, I missed this on Raw, but somebody told me afterwards that Raw is going to be in San Diego for Survivor Series at the Petco Park. It's coming to Petco Park in San Diego in November. Now, I know some people may be saying, okay, but here's the thing. Petco Park, to my understanding, has no roof to it, right? So if there's no roof, you can't suspend the War Games cage. So does that mean that there's not going to be a War Games match? So the way I look at things like that is, if you're going to do an outdoor arena, because I think they're trying to get Survivor Series back to one of their big shows, right? If you're going to do an outdoor stadium or an outdoor arena, it's like Petco Park, I'm not sure if that's a baseball stadium or not. But if you're still going to do an outdoor type arena, War Games is a big selling point for that. And I don't know if people are going to really go. I mean, I'm old school, so I would love a traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, but I don't necessarily know. So we're going to see how that plays. I just thought that was something of note that I would bring up. But Io Sky comes out, and she comes out to celebrate her WrestleMania victory. She talks about that, she gets interrupted by "You Deserve a Chance," because she does, okay? And then everybody tried to, to forget her, that she starts speaking in Japanese. And then she is, and she says she's still your women's champion. But then she gets interrupted by Stephanie Vicure. She comes out looking good in blue, and she wants to congratulate her. And she said, but she comes here and she wants to fight with the very best of the best. And Sky said, well, you want to fight me? Well, accept the challenge. We can do it right here tonight. And Adam Pearce kind of come. I was like, yo, Adam Pearce, don't come out here and sell this shit right now. Like, don't come out here and talk about something. Well, you know what? We're going to wait for Backlash. And he was like, no. We just want to make sure Vegas. Do you guys want it? Like, yeah, okay. Well, we're going to make the match right now. So start the bell. So we have Stephanie Victoria taking on Io Sky, and the match is really good. Once again, how it's these two women are going out there and they are giving it their all. And when I came back in, cause I had to go do something real quick, I came back. Io gave a beautiful Spanish fly. No. Oh, it was Stephanie that gave a Spanish fly to Io. It was one of those. But it was Io Sky that gave her the Spanish fly. And then after the Spanish fly, because once again they were having a great match. And Stephanie already proves that. Listen. NXT ain't gonna be for so much longer, because I'm coming up here. Just let y'all know that. But after that, Roxanne Perez attacks her. She attacks Io Sky. And then Stephanie's looking like, what the hell are you doing? And then Julia comes out, and then she attacks Stephanie Vicure. And then so now they're beating both these women up, and then you hear "This is my brutality," and Rhea Ripley comes running down to the ring in her T1000 type speed, and she fights them all off, and then she gives the belt back to Io, but lets her know that, okay, you deserve this time, but I'm gonna come back for this championship. So we know we probably get Io and Rhea down the line, and which is probably going to, because once again, I knew Bianca was probably going to win, because Bianca's a SmackDown superstar, and so that means she had to transfer over to Raw, and she's still not done with her story with Naomi and Jade Cargill. And who knows, Bianca may come here after the crowd has been turning on Bianca. She may come out healed after this, and you never know. WrestleMania 42 may be the build up to Rhea versus Bianca, the one-on-one match that everybody wants, with Bianca being the heel and Rhea being the babyface. So we gotta see how that plays out. But overall, excellent match between Stephanie and Io before got disqualified, and then it's just showing that the women that we got on the roster that is just it's just stacked right now, man. It's just stacked. Next up, we got like a video package for Jey Uso, just basically his upbringing and how basically like he has been on a great journey, especially since, remember when Jimmy got injured back in 2020 from the empty arena WrestleMania, and then we thought the Usos were going to be done, but then this is when the main event, Jey Uso, came. So he had a great 5 years coming up to this. So him winning the World Heavyweight Championship, it was a moment, and he has it. So he's out there, he comes to the crowd, he celebrates and yeets, and he's about to talk, but then the crowd is like, yo, one more time, we doing it. So the massive ovation, we go back, and we yeet some more, and then we going up and down with it and stuff like that. And it's great. And then so he thanks everybody. He worked hard for this, and he keep putting in work. The World Championship is in your city. But then Sami Zayn's music hits. We have not seen Sami Zayn since Elimination Chamber. He makes his way down, and he's like, listen, man, I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. Mr. WrestleMania broke me, but I'm very happy for you. And then you hear Sammy Uso chants and everything. So now we're here to celebrate, and they about to start celebrating. They doing the eat and everything. Then Jimmy Uso's song come up. So Jimmy Uso come out there like, "Hey yo, brother, no hard feelings from last year," and stuff like that. And then even though I still think Jimmy could have got his lick back on Gunther at Mania, I felt as though he could have gave a super kick or something. But then they all in there celebrating, and then they're going up there yeeting, and then Jay's on the turnbuckle, right? And I didn't see this until after. He's celebrating, but Sammy looking at him now, like, okay, right now is his night, but Sammy want to shot that championship. And the way, okay, so here's how I think things are going to go down, because from how the end segment ended, or how the segment ended, I think we're going to get a Jey Uso Seth Rollins match at SummerSlam. At first, I was like, he ain't gonna hold the title that long, but I think he's gonna be one of them 6-month title holders. Usually at the WrestleMania, when it's like you got those guys that you put the championship on them to build them to bigger and better stars, or you got those guys you put the championship on to give them the moment, right? So when you talk about Voldemort, or you talk for WrestleMania 20, you talk about Eddie Guerrero. You talk about Kofi Kingston, Kofi Mania. You talk about Jey Uso, these kind of guys that necessarily, the company, not me, the company don't look at them as top guys. And you sit there and you give a chance. Hell, even Daniel Bryan, even though we know Daniel Bryan's a champion, and he was a champion for a long time, but that first championship he won at WrestleMania 30, I think if he didn't get injured, it was going to be an actual 6-month program before you try to get rid of it for SummerSlam. And usually all the names I mentioned, from Eddie to to Voldemort to Kofi to all of them, they lost it within 6 months or a little bit over. And SummerSlam usually is that breaking point for that. So I think that for what I think, but I think Sami Zayn program will be a good one going into Money in the Bank. Right, I think that would be a good Money in the Bank match. Sami Zayn versus Jey Uso, a heel Sami Zayn doing that. I think Backlash may be a little bit too soon. I think it got to really get it boiling. I think it's a little bit too soon, but I do think that maybe going into Money in the Bank, that will probably be the move. All right, so I have to mention what happened backstage, because Jackie Redmond's interviewing AJ Styles, and like, he lost to Logan Paul at WrestleMania, and he wasn't expecting to lose to Logan Paul, but he got to move on. But then Karrion Kross comes out. Karrion Kross is getting cheered. Let me tell y'all something. I'm probably going to talk about this on the podcast more in detail for the one that's coming up next week, because Karrion Kross dropped like a pipe bomb backstage interview about WrestleMania, and he really got in everybody's ass. So now everybody's behind Karrion Kross, right? And hell, I'm behind Karrion Kross, because I used to be like a big fan of Karrion Kross like that, but I'm behind this motherfucker right now. And he was like, "Listen, you were the best of us, and now you could have legitimized that by beating Paul, but you didn't." And then AJ said, "I hated the man I become. I looked in the mirror last year, and if I used that brass knucks, it would have meant nothing. So if you want to be mad at the world, be mad at the world yourself. If you want to take care of it, you do something about it." And then Karrion Kross was like, "Well, maybe I will." This is something that Karrion Kross needs to sink his teeth into. That promo that he had, he needed to do that, okay? And I'm glad. I'm like, give him a shot. As much, like I said, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Karrion Kross, I still know that he deserves a shot. He really hasn't had that many TV matches or anything like that. And like, he just got on WrestleMania last year because he was in that feud with Bobby last year, but he needs to do something. You know what I'm saying? So, but that promo, that really, spiced it up. Now, after that, Gunther, when we come back from the segment, Gunther's at the announce table, fussing at Michael Cole, and getting all mad and getting in his face because Michael Cole talked about he tapped out. That's what Gunther did. You tapped out, and you tapped out relatively quickly. But he's getting Michael Cole's face, and like I said, it was like a play on LeBron getting in Stephen A. Smith's face at the game, like coming over there and like about to like rock him almost. It seems like. Well, then Gunther grabs Michael Cole in the sleeper. And Pat McAfee like, "Hey, yo, chill." And he go out there and like he gives Gunther a forearm. And it backs him up, and they hold Gunther back. He like, "Yo, you need to go chill. Don't need to put your hands on nobody." Well, then Gunther, as Pat McAfee turns around, Gunther takes him and he locks a sleeper hold on Pat and takes him down. So now all Pat McAfee's friends, because the Pat McAfee show is there in Raw, right? They get all upset. They go in there and fighting. and they're trying to, everybody's trying to break them up. But as they're keeping Pat's friends back from Gunther, right? He still got Pat in a chokehold, and Pat's turning purple. Like, once again, I was like, damn, but the man pass out. I mean, look, once again, maybe it's easy for him to change colors, but I was like, but bro, he was looking purple a little bit. He broke Gunther off, and then they backed him up. So now Pat McAfee and Cole are going back into the backstage. We go to commercial. When we come back, Pat's in the trainer's room. He go into the trainer's room. We get coughing and hacking stuff like that, and then Adam Pearce says, tell Matt Cole to take the rest of the night off. And he says, no, I'm not going to let... He said, that's what I was like. It's like the Stephen A. LeBron thing. He said, what is that? We're out here doing our jobs and we have our opinions. But if it's not going to be safe out here for us to give our opinions, then what are we here for? So Adam Pearce says, we're going to look into that. And Matt Cole said, well, I'm not going to let no bully stop me from doing my job at WrestleMania weekend. So everybody cheers. So he goes back out there. And to replace Pat is Joe Tessitore. So Joe Tessitore is here, and so Joe Tessitore and Michael Cole on commentary for the rest of the night. And as Michael Cole still selling the effects of the sleeper hold, but I was just like, okay, so now I don't know if we're going to do Gunther versus Pat McAfee, or if this is going to be a backdoor way for Pat McAfee to call Goldberg, because I felt the rumor match was Goldberg versus Gunther for his retirement match. Like, is that the way we're going here? Because Goldberg is scheduled to have his retirement match this year. So I do believe that that's going to be in the cards. We had the Intercontinental Championship match, Penta taking on Dominic Mysterio. So I knew it was going to be good, but I was a little worried. Like, did y'all really want to have Penta lose this one? Or is it going to be like a Finn Balor accidentally screws over Dom and he loses the championship? But I think for all things Dom has done and what he's done, good character work and just the build-up since he got into business, have him have a championship, I think they want to make that run a little bit longer. So there was a point in the match, just towards the end, where Penta was Finn Balor was like trying to distract the referee. Penta comes up like off the apron with a head scissors to Balor. Jump over the ropes, was it off the apron? Yeah, off the apron to the head scissors to Balor to try to throw him in the Dom. But it looks like Balor didn't catch him right, and then when he was going for this, like Penta just flat backed on the floor, and Finn kind of flew into Dom. So Penta, as you can see, he's holding his head. He throws Dom back into the ring, and he's about to go for a springboard. And then J.D. McDonough returns. First of all, glad to see that man is okay. He returned and hit Penta and distracted him, and then Penta gets a 619 and a frog splash from Dom, and Dom retains the championship. Penta loses. So then J.D. McDonough's all cheering back. Carlito's out there with him. Liv and Raquel's out there with him. And then Finn is kind of like hesitant to go in the group. But they're like, come on. We're part of, Judge Davis walk up the ring. And as he's doing that, he still has his eyes on the Intercontinental Championship. So it looks like, I don't know when the break is going to come. I don't know if they're going to do it at Backlash and have Finn versus Dom at Backlash, or if they're going to wait till one of Saudi Arabia shows. I don't necessarily know, but it's coming. And I'm all for it. It's coming. They have a little quick backstage thing of like this portrait of these AI images celebrating the win of El Grande Americano over Rey Fenix on WrestleMania Saturday. I just want to throw that in there. But now it's time for the main event segment, because we couldn't go without Raw without hearing from Seth freaking Rollins and Paul Heyman. So Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman comes out, looks like the new Paul Heyman guy, and Seth gets on the mic. So Rollins gets the mic, he looks into the camera, and then he says, he's a visionary. He's a revolutionary and a visionary. I stole the wise man from Roman, and I stole CM Punk's best friend, and I won at WrestleMania. So at WrestleMania, I am at the CM Punk's music hits. CM Punk get a huge ovation, but let me tell you something. CM Punk ain't here to talk, no promos, no nothing like that. He just wrapping up tape. It's like, come on, we fighting. So as soon as he gets up in there, him and Seth Rollins starts brawling with each other. And after he beats Seth Rollins down the corner, he looks over at Paul Heyman. He about to go get Paul Heyman, but then that's when Seth Rollins pushes him in the corner, and then he rakes his eyes and then gives him a stomp. Punk is down. Paul Heyman grabs the mic, and he says, listen, we're going to conclude WrestleMania 41 weekend and propelling the news all the way to WrestleMania 42, which I think I'm very interested in that line, by the way. And he says, there is a new reigning, defending, undisputed #1 top star in this entire industry. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Seth freaking Rollins. He holds up his arm, but then Roman's music hit. So Roman come out there, and once again, he ain't here for talking it. He goes and he spears Seth Rollins, and then Paul Heyman's just looking around, and he's like, nope, you ain't getting away from me. Superman punched to Paul Heyman. So now he's setting up Paul Heyman for the spear. And as he's doing that, as Roman's about to go for the spear, somebody in a hoodie comes and spears the hell out of Roman. And I'm just like, who was that? And then it's Bron Breakker. Man, you talk about, screw that Intercontinental Championship. You talk about being propelled into the top scene now. Bron Breakker comes out, and Rollins is looking confused at first. And then Breakker charges past him and hits another spear to Roman. And he rolls out to the ring. And then, but then that's when Seth comes up and hugs him from behind like, we're in on it. Ha ha. It's all part of the plan. So he goes outside, right? And he's about to, he's holding Roman, and Roman slaps him in the face. And so he falls back. I was like, because now we got to get the charging. So then Braun goes and he runs around that ring fast as shit, charging at Roman Reigns and spears him through the barricade. And now, as he's supposed to do the barricade, he gives CM Punk another curb stomp, and then gives Roman Reigns another curb stomp. And then now Heyman looking pleased, and they're all holding their hands up. And this could be the new faction of Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins with Paul Heyman. That's excellent, y'all. That is insane right there. This is exactly what it needed, okay? This is exactly what it needed. And having Paul Heyman, Bron Breakker be a Paul Heyman guy, oh my God. Now I just want to see where this is all going, because it looks like maybe at Backlash, CM Punk and Roman Reigns are going to have to put their differences aside, the team up, they go up against Seth and Bron Breakker. Now, where that leads to after this and Money in the Bank and going with Cena and Punk and stuff like that, I don't necessarily know. But right now, for how it ended, it's great. And saying that this is going to lead up into WrestleMania 42, this is what I was saying earlier about Jey Uso. I feel as though that now, if this is the case, if we're going to make Seth the new top heel, Seth has to win the championship, right? And it ain't going to be from Cena right now, because Cena is going to be doing his thing probably on Smackdown and whatever's going to happen over there, right? Or unless he's going to shake some things up. So it's going to have to be from Jey Uso. And I feel as though that he can win that. Like, they will give Jey a little bit of a run, probably a few with Sami Zayn going into the summer, and then in the summertime have Seth Rollins take on Jey Uso and win that championship there. I think, and that's how they usually do it. You get the face to win at WrestleMania if it's one of those, and then they lose at SummerSlam and build the heel back up into the Rumble or something like that. So that's what I can see happening. So that was Raw. It was great. I had to talk about it early. It's going to be still going to be part of the podcast. If you guys watch it, this is the video version, so I hope you guys enjoy it. But for the audio version, we're going to go on to probably what happened on SmackDown. SmackDown hasn't happened yet, but I'm saying, but we're going on to SmackDown or whatever else I talk about on the podcast. But right here on the video version, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Really help out the video with them likes, and subscribe for more wrestling content. I still got 2K content coming out. I got content coming out, but WrestleMania weekend is over, so we're just now catching up. So once again, post any comments down below. And once again, this is NC, the place to be. Children, Mr. A&D, and the Nerd Coalition is out.